Hi, in this lesson we're covering one important topic, and this is indexed rows. If you have not done graphics programming before, in short, when you have a 3D model consisted of triangles, a lot of the points of these triangles overlap since they're neighboring. And currently we have a vertex buffer with 3 vertices for a single triangle. In the current vertex drawing scenario, if we have a second triangle that has 2 of the same vertices, we still need to pass 3 more vertices and allocate memory for a total of 6 vertices. What index drawing aims to do is that we have a set of vertices and then we tell the GPU to draw a triangle of vertices 0, 1 and 2 and then draw a triangle with vertices 1, 2 and 3. This way, for 2 triangles we will only have 4 vertices and 6 indices. A vertex object, though, is a size of 6 floats, and we have 6 vertices resulting in 36 times 32 bits. In the index case, we would have 4 vertices times 6 resulting in 24 times 32 bits, and another 6 indices which end up to 30 times 32 bits. And this is just with 2 triangles. This gap gets bigger with the more triangles we add. This is why index drawing is the de facto standard everywhere. So we can start by creating a new indices array, and for a single triangle we are just going to draw 0, 1 and 2. The indices will have to be created inside an index buffer. The index buffer, like the vertex buffer, will come from the graphics object. Let's create a function that allocates and moves the data into an index buffer. And now that we have this, I will copy this signature and go into the CPP file. And here I create the body of this. The size that we would need is the size of an unsigned int times the indices. We can then copy a lot of the vertex creation code. I get this staging buffer creation and just change it to indicate that we're using it for an index buffer. Then I copy the memcopy part of this. And finally, we can take the GPU buffer creation code from the vertex buffer. And let's go and paste it here. In the main file, we can now delete this buffer in the end. And we need a new function for rendering. This function is similar to the buffer rendering, but it will take 2 handles and also the indices count. I copy the signature into the CPP file and create the body. The first thing we need to do is copy the buffer. We can do this with the command. So I'll copy the vertex buffer binding code from the other method. We also need to bind the index buffer. We pass in the command buffer, the index handle, then an offset. There we have to pass in the size of the indices, which can be also lower than 32 bits. And finally, we call the command drawIndexed. We pass in the command buffer, index count, instances count, and some zeros for the offsets and indices in the first objects to draw. Now, back in the main file, we will call the render index buffer. And we add the index buffer and indices size. We can now run this. The triangle seems to be displayed, but we are getting some errors. Let's see my mistake. Here where we created the index buffer, the staging buffer creation only needs to be a transfer source. The GPU handle though needs to have this index buffer bit set. And I had it left as vertex buffer type. I quickly built to revalidate my solution, and it seems to no longer produce any validation messages.